You can't save and invest your way out of poverty.
If you're not on the trajectory to get it right in your 20s, you might never get it right.
How will you know that I have made it if I don't buy GL?
I want to make an argument.
30 years ago, 100 million naira was a shitload of money. But today, you can't buy you anything in Iko.
You can't buy anything in Ikate.
How do you become rich?
The harder the problems you solve, the more money you can command in return. You need to become curious about how money makes money.
With an income frame of 300k to 500k. Do any of these people have a chance of owning a property in Lagos?
Even in Ikorodu, you cannot own a property with that amount. If you earn 500,000 naira, you would have to save for about 12 years, 6 months to be able to pay 75 million naira for a 3-bedroom bungalow. You would have to learn how to make more money and make it faster.
If you don't invest in the stock exchange market right now, you're not doing anything right.
First, people are going to the stock market because, well, it's easier. There's high FOMO, all-time high FOMO, and they are not being warned of the volatility, the fact that it goes up, it's like a fine girl that has mood swings. So 9 to 5 people, whatever you're earning, look around you. People that earn more than you, in most cases, they are solving bigger problems. It may not always be problems that involve muscle. 7, you're out of your house, you rush into somebody's office to go and work, and you cannot spare just 2 hours to start building or learning something that would increase your earning power.
Why are young people, not weighing in very early on real estate investment?
You can see my car. Can you see my real estate portfolio?
Hello, distinguished followers of the Edala Market Intelligence Podcast. Welcome to another episode. And this episode is a special one because we are hosting our first guest here today. So I have with me Mr. Somiari Lucky, who is a social media personality and has gained fame for talking about investments, sharing perspectives on how to build wealth, and also educating his followers on how to live life and build sustainable wealth. Right. I will allow him to do the honors of introducing himself properly.
I don't like answering that question of who are you. My name is Somiari Lucky. I think that's it. I talk about money on the internet, mostly the things I've learned from experience and the things I am learning as I am growing.
And I am also joined, as usual, on this podcast by my co-founder at Edala, Dayo Oloyede, who is also, smiling in that corner right now. I mean, he's not a man of many words, right? But we'll just dive right into it, right? And I have a question, the most popular question in real estate in this decade, especially in this part of Nigeria. And the question is, some people blame landlord for outrageous rent, while other people blame the economy. And if you had to choose one, who would it be?
Okay, so I want us to look at this issue from both sides. Assume you're a landlord listening to me and you invested in a property to earn rental income, meaning you put your 180 million, 120 million somewhere, and your aim is to be earning some money from it while your asset is appreciating in value, right? And you did that when dollar was going for 1,200. You wake up one morning after 2 years, dollar is now going for 1,600, and things you could easily buy with 1,000 naira, you have to now buy them with about 1,400, 1,500. Quite naturally, what you're going to do is, the same way you go to the market to buy garri and they tell you it is now more expensive, you will come back and say, what me I'm selling is house for rent, and you will slightly increase your rent too. This is what every normal human being would do. The lady selling akara and kulikuli and the rest on the streets, she will increase her price. The man doing bike at the junction will increase his price, right? Now, that's on one side. On the other side, you are a tenant, right? And you have to pay your rent. But you know for a fact that every other thing you're buying has also increased in price. So you used to buy fuel at 700 naira. Now you go to the pump, it's 1,200. You will pay because you have to move somehow. You go to buy stuff at the supermarket. Your favorite yogurt is no longer 2,300 anymore. It's now 3,400. You buy it because you're doing fitness now. And they say you should be taking protein and probiotics, Abi. You go to the gym, they will tell you they've increased their service charge. You will pay. And then when you now come to pay rent and your landlord says it is slightly higher, you get angry. The reason why you get angry is you feel like your landlord is a rich man. I mean, he has his big house now. What does he need the money for? But in reality, everybody increases the price of the things they sell when the economy gets a bit stiffer. So I wouldn't blame the landlord. I also wouldn't blame the tenant for complaining. I would simply say it is economy. So whoever runs the economy is the person that we should be blaming.
Fair. I mean that's fair enough. So Dayo, just before we get into or before weighing on real estate investments, right? On this podcast we've talked about investment, different investment classes. We've compared them to real estate. We've talked about the stock market. We've talked about the money market. We've talked about other alternatives like say crypto and things around it. So right now, just to weigh in on the investment conversation with Mr. Somi here, right? With Somi, right? So the point of this conversation is to, ensure that this episode is very useful to young people, right? So in your own opinion, right, where do you think a lot of young people in Nigeria currently play investment wise?
Okay, I don't have a very, very clear overview of the entire investment landscape. Maybe people with enough data will be able to give that clear insights. But at least from where I see things, I think that a lot of people are playing the capital markets, young people, because it's easier to invest, right? So with 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira, 20,000 naira, you can afford to invest in a company, right? So I think that's where you have a lot of young people playing it right now. Because if you look at other asset classes like real estate and crypto, your entry barrier is very, very high. So if you don't have that box in terms of big box to invest, you might not be able to enter into that market. So, but I think with the capital markets, and especially now when you have a lot of influencers that influence, because some 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you wouldn't have a lot of young people invest in the stock exchange market, right?
Yeah.
But right now there's a FOMO, right? Such that if you don't invest in the stock exchange market right now, you're not doing anything right. Right. So you have a lot of people coming out and giving recommendations, and that's why you see that the stock exchange market today, there can be a lot of volatility in terms of how stock prices move and all of that. And the people that really have a lot of access to information, are taking advantage of that. The fact that you have a lot of people without enough information to make informed investment decisions generally.
All right, so let's take it, down specifically to the stock market, right? Since you say you think the stock market is playing really well around the young people. So this question is to Somi, right? I think in the past 5 years, we've seen a lot of people, talk about the stock market, right? Young people encouraged participation in the stock market in Nigeria. And very recently we see a company that we all call an household name like Dangote, now going public. It's been a very beautiful journey, right? We've seen the refinery, grow through the lenses of our own personal eyes, right? We saw it grow from scratch. We saw them, sell their first liter of petrol. Almost everybody in Lagos today have one way or the other, been part of the Dangote refinery ecosystem, and then the company is going public, right? Later this year as announced, right? And then recently we saw the company doing a private placement for private investors. So what do you think, right, about the stock market, number one? And what do you think about a company like Dangote? And how would you say your own participation in the equity circle, if you play in it, would be? And the reason why I'm asking this question is I want to hear from your perspective and, maybe also encourage people out there and, also maybe tell us your philosophy around how you actually choose, where to play, right?
It's a very loaded question. Okay, so for one, I feel like Dayo said, young people are choosing things to invest in they are picking based on convenience.
Mhm.
I just have to download an app, do my KYC, and with as little as 5,000, which is now affordability, you can get started. And a very important part, like he said, like Dayo said, so is the FOMO.
Mhm.
So they've been influenced, heavily influenced. And I won't deny, I've played my part in influencing. I've played my part in
Okay.
influencing, but for good
Okay.
reason.
Mhm.
But for good
Yes,
reason.
yes,
And
I believe.
the reason why I say for good reason is when it comes to investments, I strongly believe you need to become curious about how money makes money. So what brings you into that mindset may not necessarily be what you end up doing.
Mm.
Which is why every single time I talk about investment, I always say do your research. Don't follow hype. Don't put your money in what you do not understand. So first, people are going to the stock market because, well, it's easier. There's high FOMO, all-time high FOMO. And they are not being warned of the volatility, the fact that it goes up, it's like a fine girl that has mood swings.
Mhm.
That's what the stock market can be sometimes. It doesn't have emotions. It doesn't care, right? And there's a sugar daddy somewhere that can control how the beautiful body thinks. If somebody at Popular Bank sells a lot of their shares, it goes down.
Mhm.
So in dating, they say once they trigger your babe release clause, she's gone. They call her and say, go to this person and so car lot and pick a GLE. That's how you become single automatically. So that's how the stock market can be sometimes.
Mhm.
But in relation to Dangote, especially the new refinery and Nigeria's willingness to participate in the IPO, the coming IPO, I think it's still more about FOMO, fear of missing out, we would have to admit, and also the fact that people are becoming a little bit more knowledgeable.
Mm.
So we can clearly see that this guy has done something that the entire country is going to need.
True.
Right? So this is something that has utility,
Of course.
that has daily utility. And we know Uncle Dangote is a very ruthless businessman. If the country is not going to patronize him, he will sell his products wherever he can. So we have this feeling that if we buy into it and he will not want his money to go to waste, it's possible that we will come out on top
Mhm.
after a while. The only issue there is you may get in high
Mm.
and the market will correct, which it will always do, and then it will take you a while before it goes up, which is why experts will always say people that lose money in the stock market are those that buy when everybody's buying and sell when everybody's, as in you just invest out of fear.
Mhm.
You buy, it goes down, you quickly rush and sell so you don't lose more money. And that's how you lose money. So I think that would be my own thought on that. As to how I pick investments that matter to me, it's more about my current risk appetite.
Okay.
So at the moment, I'm a young person. I don't have 3 kids,
Of course.
which means if everything goes to waste, I'll still be fine somehow.
You can start all over.
Exactly.
I mean, and that's one of the things that we have also discussed on this podcast, right? I and Dayo personally. All right, so I'd like us to move very fast right now. Somi, you have a lot of following, in the classes of the young people, and I've seen a lot of people ask you questions like, "Oh, Chief Somi, I have this amount of money, and what can I do with it?" And we operate in a climate where statistics say that less than 1% of the population earn um over 500k. So in Lagos right now, the average person, you see them standing at the bus stops, going to work. You see them, going from mainland to the island and back and forth. You see them going from places like Ajah, as far as Shangote Edo to, where it happens on the island and back and forth. They are the people that, live their day to day, jumping buses. And the truth is, most of these folks, earn between 300 to 500k, right? So in Nigeria right now, realistically, do any of these people have a chance of owning a property in Lagos with an income frame of 300k to 500k property in Lagos?
Even in Ikorodu, you cannot own a property with that amount. And no shade to people in Ikorodu. So let's take Ibeju Lekki, for instance. Ibeju Lekki, you can get a 3-bedroom bungalow, the boys' quarter, for around 72 to 75 million. A property with CFO. So you can be rest assured that you're not losing your money. If you earn 500,000 naira and you're not touching a dime out of that money, you would have to save for about 12 years, 6 months to be able to pay 75 million naira for a 3-bedroom bungalow. meaning you're working for 12 years, you're not touching the 500,000, you're not getting fired, inflation is not happening. 12 years,
You're not eating.
you're not eating. You would have to be Methuselah, meaning you have like 700 years to live for you to just sacrifice 12 years of your life. So it is really difficult. It is really difficult. And you may say it is Lagos, but even if you zoom out of Lagos and go to somewhere like Abia State, so get a full house, even if the house is 25 million naira, on a salary of 500,000, go hard. Go hard. We can discuss about what we can do, but it's almost impossible.
So is it safe to say that real estate investment right now is reserved for the elites?
I wouldn't say it is reserved though. If you go to bed and wake up, it's 80 million. Nobody will stop you from buying. But you go and look for that 80 million first. Then you can now have the option of choosing to play.
So now to the main question. So what would you advise young people that operate in this income class to do?
So one thing I always say when I talk to people about money, it sounds controversial, but it's the fact that you can't save and invest your way out of poverty. You would have to learn how to make more money and make it faster. I hope I'm not quoted out of context here, but assuming you earn 500,000 naira and you manage to save a huge chunk of it, that's 100,000 naira. I'm saying a huge chunk because you live in Lagos. You know how Lagos is. To breathe the air in Lagos, you pay for it. So you save a huge chunk, 100,000 naira. If you save 100,000 naira every month for 12 months, you're going to have about 1.2 million naira. Assuming you're not compounding it by, a mutual, just 1.2 million naira. To buy a property of 75 million naira, you're going to save for 62 years or thereabouts. We would have to cross-check the maths, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you see how instead of trying to save your way, you're better off finding how to turn that 500,000 naira to 5 million naira monthly. Because then you can now save 1 million naira. It will still take you a long time, right? Mm-hmm. But it is now shorter. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying don't invest. I'm not saying don't save. Saving and investment should be something you do because you're trying to build a habit of not eating everything you make, of keeping something aside, of having plans, long-term plans for your money. But if you think, I'm going to continue the way I'm going and just be saving, no. You're building a habit, not changing your wealth equation. And all those things where we say, if you save 50,000 every month for 30 years, you're going to have 144 million naira. So in 30 years' time, 144 million naira will have value.
We should think about it, right?
And I'm not saying don't do that though. I'm just saying be realistic. In 30 years' time, 144 million naira would have value as much as it is, having value today.
30 years ago, 100 million naira was a shitload of money. But today, you barely buy you can't buy you anything in Ikoyi.
You can't buy anything in Ikate.
You can't buy anything in Ikate. You can't buy.
Okay, Somi, just for balance, right? So I'm a young person earning about 500,000 every month. And, you are saying that if I'm not making significantly more than that, like say 5 million every month, I can't afford to buy a house, right? So take me at least 62 years to buy my first property, right? So what do you think? Because yes, they also say that the average millionaire is not in his 20s. The average billionaire is not in his 30s and all of those things, right? But I'm also of the opinion that Nigeria is a very peculiar market. Because some of the globally recognized standards and principles like savings, investments, how to allocate capital, they really might not even fit perfectly into a frontier market like Nigeria. Now, so how do you ensure or how do you advise young people to find that balance? Because at some point, somebody was telling me that if you don't get it right or if you're not on the trajectory to get it right in your 20s, you might never get it right. Say in your 30s, it becomes very, very harder for you to get it right. Right. So what would you advise young people to do that also want to, key into that investment, mindset and also want to be able to have a trajectory to, go wealth and acquire wealth over the future?
Thank you very much for that question because it will be very easy to be quoted out of context. Somebody will quote this video now, post on Twitter and say, if you have 500,000 naira monthly, you should focus on making more money. Mm-hmm. Next thing you see people doing very funny things to make money. Now, notice I said something. I said, one, whatever you're saving and investing, let's say because you want to build a habit. Once the habit is there, you can't break it. Mm-hmm. No matter what you earn, you must keep something aside. And when you keep something aside for a very long time, it becomes valuable in such a way that when there's an opportunity for you to weigh into an investment, you have funds available. Of course, don't keep the money in your bank account. I think we should all know by now. Put it in somewhere, mutual funds or whatever, so that the money is not losing so much value and it's also not just working for somebody else. So, how then would I recommend somebody work towards increasing their income without getting involved in bad things? There's no one size fits all. I cannot sit here and tell you I know exactly how. But I think the philosophy tracks. The harder the problems you solve, the more money you can command in return. Elon is rich, or is richer, because he understands how to market and influence the market. As he knows how to market himself and whatever he's building. And he also knows how to, convince us somehow. But look at the problems he's solving. Who in his right mind wants to make a species a multi-planetary species? Have you listened to, go and watch a video of him talking about how humans can build a colony on Mars? He knows it will not happen in his lifetime, but he's stubborn enough to attempt it. So harder problems command more money. If you're working in an office, you may think your job is harder than the CEO's job. But in reality, the CEO's job is harder because they take more risk. They live with the work 24/7. You close and you go home. Your CEO, 2 a.m., he cannot sleep because how will I make payroll? So it means in that office, if you want to earn more money, what do? You take on more responsibilities. So 9 to 5 people, whatever you're earning, look around you. People that earn more than you, in most cases, they are solving bigger problems. It may not always be problems that involve muscle. Things you solve with your brain, they are always bigger problems. Because you don't find a lot of people that can do this work. When you see this other work that involves movement of hands and all, there are many people. They train you how to do things. You can do it. I don't want to say something that because you may just stop recording. They can teach you how to record this camera thing you're recording now. Who can teach your CEO how to become a CEO or your co-founder? So look around you. Ask yourself, people earning more money than me here, what type of responsibilities are they taking on? You will now know what to start building towards. People rush out of their houses every morning. In Lagos, you're up by 5. 7, you're out of your house. You're rushing to somebody's office to go and work. You will close and you will come back home. And you cannot spare just 2 hours of your time to start building or learning something that would increase your earning power. So you rush to somebody's office to do 8 hours. But you cannot even rush and do 2 hours for your own self just so you can increase your skill and the value you can offer in the organization. People that are on the streets, when I say street, I mean people that have businesses, freelancers and the rest. It's the same thing. If you solve bigger problems for your bigger customers, you make more money. If you solve rich people's problems, you make rich people's money. So I cannot tell you this is how you can increase your income, but if you look at it, the more value you give to the right people and you make noise about it, you see this noise on. Most times, even that in your office, people that earn more money than you, sometimes it's not because they work hard out, it's because they know how to position themselves. You will say, hey, they sabi speak English. English, no, you don't get dictionary files. You know they your phone. So positioning too is also important, even in the market. Well, I think somebody understands what I'm saying already.
Yeah. I mean, this is an incredible thought, right? And I think it should be valuable to everybody, across all age classes, right? Whether you are in your 40s, you work in a KPMG, you are a senior manager, you are an associate director. If you're going to make partner, you need to operate at the level of a partner. You need to be able to solve the problems that a partner solves. You need to be able to bring in the deals that a partner brings in, right? So
Exactly.
So that's how it works, really. So now let's take it back to real estate. So this guy is a real estate developer, right? And
A big one.
I'm coming for him. Right. So the question is, in the past 5 years, we've seen, a lot of real estate developers emerge. And in the same vein, we've seen construction, related activities also jump in prices, right? And when people say, oh, rent is high, property are expensive, the developer will say, it's not me, it's the economy, right? So I'm asking you right now, so what are the elements that you look at when going into a development, and how do you price it appropriately for your clients or for your for your customers, such that you are just taking a profit that is adequate, and you are not over what's it called? You're not making the cost overbearing to the people who eventually buy.
Okay. So in construction or as a developer,
As
there are
a
a couple of
developer.
there are costs that you have to make account for. So first off is the cost of land, the cost of capital, your cost of construction, and you put an inflation element to that. Once we do that, we now usually put a profit margin. Now, profit margin is quite relative because for every person has his own thinking of what profit margin should be, right? However, like we just try to also be competitive in the market. And the problem will also now span towards what is the deficit in the market, right? For different developers, if the sub markets are playing, if people don't have a lot of options, you find that you are able to put in a very high profit margin and still scale through because people don't have any choice. They have to buy from you and ultimately rent from you in that location, right? So those are the factors that really determine, right? But for us, we try to be very, very fair so that we can put a price, because any price you put, and I think we have a very, very difficult job to do as a company because we are more on the end to end. We don't sell to customers and just leave them. We sell to customers and have to, guarantee those customers that we have sold to, which are the investors, returns, right? And to do that, you need users, which are tenants of the property. Now, if you had sold to those customers on a price that is very, very high, that's such that if for them to make good return on investments, you have to also cough out very high rental
Income.
proceed from the tenants. It's also going to be difficult because the tenancy market is very, very competitive. If people are renting for 5 million naira, you want to rent for 10 million or 7 million, for it to make sense to the investors, you'd have a very, very difficult job to do. However, we tried on our own end to put a profit margin that is fair enough for the investor and set a price that is fair enough for the investor, so that when we are having to deliver returns upon management and getting tenants to use the apartment, the price now makes sense to the people that are using the apartment. So at least because we are doing that, our prices are going to be fair compared to that people that just want to sell to. Because if anybody sells to you and leaves you, it's not your edict to go and find how to get good return on investment for your real estate investments. So I think that's really what gives us that balance and ability to also be able to price fairly for everybody in the value chain.
Dayo, you just sold yourself to me. I didn't ask you to sell yourself to me.
Yeah. So I think so. The point is that there's no way to have explained this without explaining what we do, because it's what we do that we determine how it's our philosophy that determines how we do business generally. So
all right, back to you, Somi.
Mhm.
We were talking earlier, and then you were weighing in on some very solid points around the behavior of young people when they now eventually have money, right? So it's one thing to preach to people to say, oh, make money, oh, so you can do this. But the truth is, when young people eventually have money, you'll be shocked and surprised at what most of us would do, right? When you don't have money, you say, oh, when the money comes, I will have sense. But when the money comes, the sense disappears, right? And that's why for us, I think we're mentioning, and I was saying that most of our clients, I mean about 80% of our clients are above 40, right? And the question is, why are young people not weighing in very early on real estate investments? And then I think you had an opinion about that, so I want you to share it with our audience.
To put it simply, young people are not weighing in on real estate investment because it is not flashy. It is not flashy. You see, how will you know that I have made it if I don't buy GLE? How will you know I've made it if I don't buy a second car? Maybe I upgrade my GLE to a G63, G-Wagon. There's this particular grey color
that is
I like.
trending.
You get? How would you know I've made it? You can see my car. Can you see my real estate portfolio? No. So people are spending, most young people are spending more money on things that confer status and not necessarily wealth. Meanwhile, wealth is what you don't see. Every single time you see these rich people, they are not trying to convince you that they are rich. There's a level of wealth you will have. You go to restaurants, you use your hand and eat your swallow because nothing concerns you. Why are you trying to impress? Hello? You're not my boss. You're not paying me salary. But
I'll-
when you don't have money, you'll be very. Everybody is seeing me. They are watching at me. Nobody send you. And I always like to make this experiment. Most of you did not notice what I was wearing on my leg because it's not your business. If I'd asked you what colors are, you would have been like, it's probably black because it's always black. But you don't care. But young people go around thinking everybody cares about what they are doing. So it is easier for me to post more car keys, than for me to post more land titles. I think if you want to sell more lands to young people or more houses, find a way to add a bit of status to it. The club promoters did it with the Dorime culture. We had a lot of people going to clubs just because they are going to turn off the lights. We even had a particular influencer that even added some WWE magic to it. You come smoke everywhere. The guy come turn Undertaker. Smoke everywhere. They'll bring you expensive bottle of wine, drink, and they'll have a procession. People wearing funny clothing and all. And that's how they were able to turn this whole clubbing thing into a sensation.
The thrill. But I want to make an argument.
Okay.
Right. So we say that when people, don't really have the money that they are looking for, right, they should try to also, use the money they have to try to get into positions where, they make more money. So the average young person will argue that if I buy that GLE, this person will notice me. I can get into a business conversation because this person sizes me and thinks, oh yes, this guy can handle this contract. This guy can do this. And I'll give you a specific example. When we got into real estate development, we're driving really very humble cars. I'm saying very, very humble cars, right? To the point where, as a real estate developer, you're building something. No doubt you're the one building it. You bring in a realtor that drives a GLE. And the realtor looks at you, looks at your car,
Go and call your boss.
looks at the property you're trying to have him market, and is like, "Shay, this guy they whine me." You sure saying that they build this thing, right? So there's also that.
Yeah.
But I guess we just need to be able to find a balance between chasing vanity and saying, oh, this vanity, or trying to chase vanity and now make it look like what you're trying to do is what actually brings the value in. Or what do you think about that?
I agree with you on this show, and I always preach it. Edala's book, he said he told the person that came to fix his pool to get a better car, because a better car means I would think you're more successful, means I would probably pay what you think you're worth.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't do that when you don't have something you're selling. In your case, you have something you're selling. I have 100 million naira, I spend 67 million buying a car. The remaining 33, I don't have any business. So the status, what am I doing? It's like buying expensive perfumes and then you spray the perfume and sit in your house. Who is now going to
Smell you.
turn and say, this guy smells good? Who?
Mm-hmm.
So just to add to that, I think that the balance is really around who you are selling to. We are young people, and we can testify that when you are selling to young people, our own age range, they tend to also, and I'm also saying this because there are also people that, for example, somebody in fashion, somebody in autos business, or somebody in real estate, as a young person that also wants to make money and now use that in business success to also invest in real estate, right? You find that when you're selling, when what you're doing is selling to young people, the people in our own age brackets, they also buy because of social, like you have said, right? But if you're selling to much more older folks, if you enter Keke Napep to come and deliver, or come and deliver that service to that customer, it might not really be a big deal for them, right? They just want the value. Just give me value and let me move on. And I said this because when you were mentioning the fact that in Otedola's book, he made mention of the fact that he told somebody to go and get a car, right? But don't be surprised that another billionaire or another millionaire might not have had that perspective. The person's own is that, are you the best thing in the market? Is what you're selling to me, is it valuable enough? And I'll buy from you regardless, right? So I think it's that balance of knowing who you are. Your business is peculiar to a particular kind of class of people, right? So if I'm selling cars, the people I sell to majorly every day, are they executive B2B that they don't even have to know the car I brought to their office to come and sell to them? All I just need to do is to give them the best deal, they'll buy from me regardless. And if what you're doing is you're selling to people that really likes class, also customers that are very, very classist, If they don't see you, if you didn't go to maybe Harvard, they won't buy from you. If you're not staying in Ikoyi, Shey Omo Island, if you're not the
You're not
elite,
any Ikoyi
Yeah,
club.
if you're not
you
in
don't
Ikoyi
look like
club, they
you're
won't
getting
buy
it.
from you. So if you're serving that kind of customer base, yes, it makes sense. But really, if the people you are serving are people that just want you to give them value and give them the best deal, really, then you should not focus on appealing to them that way.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, I think so. And if you read the Otedola book, right? I think first off, Otedola put the value forward, right? And he just advised the guy,
They
right?
actually bought from him and
Yeah,
they
he
told
bought
him
from him.
next time.
He put the value forward
Mm.
and he advised him that, oh, this can amplify your value because just like you said, you already have something that you are selling, and the bigger you show up or the better you show up, the better for your
Mm.
for your brand, right? So now let's take it down to back to real estate. So Dayo, in the past 5 years, who do you think has benefited the most from the entire up and downs in real estate, right? Who do you think has been the most profitable, right? Is it the active players like the developers, or is it the buyers, or is it the tenants, or is it the government institutions, themselves?
This is a very, very, very difficult question. I think everybody has benefited in some sort of ways, but I think that the customers have not really benefited a lot. Though the customers can point fingers to the government, to the developers, and to the investors. But I think that because real estate is a basic necessity of life, which is housing. So after your food, clothing, is shelter, right? And I think that maybe, just maybe also, the government have also not done a good job yet. I think maybe there might be some things that have been done, but on making real estate a very, very crucial goal to solve. Sorry, a crucial problem to solve. In SDG, you have clean energy, you have this, you have that. But maybe there also needs to be some sustainable goals or development goals for Nigeria and Lagos that says real estate is one goal they want to solve. Right now, when you solve that goal, or when you solve that problem, what you will now do is to, or in solving that problem, what you now do is to implement systems and process or policies that would help us to, ensure that we solve the housing deficit. Because the problem for consumers is the fact that there's a huge housing deficit, and that housing deficit is making them pay more. It's really not. I don't think it's largely inflationary or largely a conversation of costs, right? A bulk of it, maybe 40% or 30% is inflationary, but a bulk of it is an housing deficit problem. Because I would give an example. In the place I stay, my landlord has given me a rent increase. And if I don't pay that rent, if I have to go and rent somewhere else again, I'm going to be paying more.
You pay more.
Right? Because I have to now pay agreement agency. So for me, I have no choice than to rent the apartment again. Right? And
Wait, is it the new house you just moved into that they're giving you?
Yes. So it's crazy, right? So maybe because the customers suffer a lot. I'm a developer, but I'm also a customer. So I think it's that shoes that you step into, regardless of where you are actually playing at, right? Because and also I also don't think there's a lot of consumer protection happening in the real estate space. Maybe the FMCG, you have regulations or agencies that fight for the customers, because any place where you put producers or developers and customers alone in isolation, the customers will suffer, right? So I think that the customers have suffered a lot, and maybe there needs to be a balance, to help the customers or make their lives easier.
But you didn't tell me who has benefited the most, or who are the set of people that has benefited the most.
I think the investors have benefited a lot. Because we have made real estate to be very, very investment driven, right? Real estate is not seen right now. In the past, 10, 20 years ago, people did real estate because they wanted to do real estate, not majorly for investments. Our forefathers, our grandfathers, they made some very, I don't say stupid, because the investor is stupid because it's not making good returns or high returns. So they made investments, and some of them, that investment did not make sense. But because they wanted to provide housing for maybe their large families or this one or that, right? So I think that there's not a lot of non-investment real estate schemes, and it's the government's job to actually solve that.
Okay. So based off what you said, I have a very interesting question for Somi, right? It's from the East. So I have a very interesting question
From
for you.
River State.
Yeah,
Live in the East.
from River State, right?
Yeah.
So the interesting question is you made a point and you said, our forefathers, they went all out, build large houses, you realize
Yeah.
there's no investment driven. But we see that pattern, you know, across people from the east today. They come to Lagos, they make a lot of money, and then you go to the east and you see people with, very large compounds in acres, right? That they don't even live in, right? So what is your thoughts around, that? I may be biased because I'm not from there. I don't know what it feels like to leave home and now go back home 20
Mhm.
years later. I don't know what it feels like, right? And that's what I think about when I think about that, because when you're going back home after a long time, it should be an homecoming, right? That's the excuse I give myself whenever I think about that, right? But how do you weigh in on that?
Personally, I think the people that currently do it, they've said by themselves that there's no real investment decision reason or rationale. It's just sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
You say you can't be a rich poor man and not have a mansion in your village. Aku must roll. In Igbo, it means wealth must reach house. So for the many of them that I know that have done this, they do it because, well, I can afford to do it. I'm doing well. Although I can't speak for everybody, but I feel most of them, they feel like they are doing well. They can divert a part of the cash flow to build a mansion in the village. Even though personally, I don't agree. I know a billionaire right now that has money. He's liquid, but he doesn't have a mansion in his village. Just have a mansion in his village. And he will always tell you that the money I used to put a mansion in the ground in my village where I don't, he doesn't have a mansion in the village or in the city. He will tell you the money I used to put a mansion in my village or in the city, 500 million, 600 million, that will befit his status. That money will do business. The money will go and come back. Rent of 6 million, 10 million, 20 million, money will make it in a month. And that money will still employ a lot of people. So that mindset is changing. But those that still have it, they will tell you, it's just sentiment. I can do it and I will do it. The only problem is young people are starting to do it, even when they are not as stable as the real billionaires. So we have some dangling billionaires now, like Udo and his friends will say, dangling billionaires that are trying to do that thing. Well, in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, we'll know people that are really wealthy today.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, for me, it's just a sentiment I think about, and when I think about it, right? If I'd had, I've lived in Lagos all my life. If I've had to leave Lagos and go and stay somewhere for 10 years, right, or 15 years, and I make money and I'm coming back to Lagos. I mean, my people in Lagos, they have to, also share part of the wealth, and I think the culture around it is what fascinates me the most. And when these guys go home in December periods, they bring a lot of love home. Right, you can see it in their compounds. They welcome people. They give out gifts. Food stuff to people in their villages, and that's the part that some people may not find as investment driven, but the satisfaction that you get from doing that can also be a bigger driver to, I gave out 100 bags of rice this year. By next year December I want to give out 1,000 bags of rice. I need to make that money from somewhere. So that's also some of the drivers that some other people have. For some people that are already in wealth, they may not think about that. They may just want to be better than your fathers. For some people, they may just want to build the next big thing. For some people, it's just the fun of it. But there are people that people really depend on. And, the fact that people depend on you just makes you want to... For some of us, it may not be our village. For some of us, it might be our siblings. For some of us, it might be our parents. Right. And, whether we like it or not, I think, people also have some iota of vanity spending that they do.
Yes.
That they qualify.
Just like people in Lagos like to throw extravagant parties for no reason. Block road, the biggest event center.
Yeah. The Yoruba people, I mean, parties.
Yeah. That now means that if we have to solve the housing deficit, it has to be a sentimental policy,
Not driven by investment.
not driven by
Not
investment.
driven by logic.
Yeah.
You go hard.
Yes. So, but if we don't change that mindset that it has to be investment will not solve the housing deficit for us.
So just like how my brothers in the East build big houses,
Mhm.
it's the same way people in the West will host big extravagant parties. They will block the streets, kill cows just to host parties. So everybody has sentimental thing they used to do. Sometimes you will see a typical, I don't want to say Yoruba wedding, you see a typical wedding in Lagos here, guests everywhere. They will rent expensive halls. Have you checked out how the prices for halls? 8 million for a 3-hour event. And people are paying. So it's sentiment at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Big wedding.
I can agree because I'm planning a wedding right now
Aha.
for myself. Right. And although I am team small wedding, right? But
Is
they're
your
just
fiance away?
there are just a lot of stakeholders in the the process. For example, now I'll give you the economics of it. So I want to do a small wedding, but again, the small wedding still has to look befitting, right? So when you now look at the cost of even doing that small wedding that looks befitting, location plays a huge part,
Okay.
like you mentioned, and it forms a huge chunk of your budget. So if you're already spending so much for just a small circle of people, right? I'm a businessman, my wedding should also be an opportunity for people to network, right?
Okay.
So why not just let's take it up a notch, and that's how Yoruba people see their ceremonies. It's an avenue for one person to show that he's arrived, right? If you watch Yoruba parties, it's an avenue for people to show. I'm not saying I would do that, but it's an avenue for people to flex their muscle. That's why you see in Yoruba weddings the souvenirs that they would want to. And I think the Igbo people are starting to catch on that culture and take it home. The souvenirs. This one, you are coming to your brother's, uncle, sister's, auntie's wedding that you are not even really related. You want to be the one that shares the biggest things because, of course, it's a way for you to show people network. You see people do events and say this one sit on high table. This one, it becomes a social gathering, to also show the next person that if these people in their family can do this, they are also big people, right? So, and then in the age of social media and influencers, and I think the influencers are right now are topping the charts.
There's a particular one that happened recently. We cannot talk.
Yeah, I think I saw it. Different events in one wedding.
Bro.
That's insane.
Yeah, so
But you see how he's justifying the need for big weddings. That's how they justify the need for those big houses.
sentiments. So right now, let's go back into real estate, just so we wrap up the session on educating our guest, right? So from your own perspective, so what alternatives do you see, right, for young people in real estate, apart from the traditional, I buy a house, I buy an apartment, I do this, I buy a land that we grew up knowing.
Now, I'm saying all of this as somebody that is not a practitioner. So I may be wrong, bear with me.
Mhm.
But sometimes the craziest ideas are the most interesting. I've always imagined that if I were to build a shopping mall or maybe a plaza, a low-scale plaza, I would like to attach a little utility to it. By utility, I mean you have a plaza, he has a plaza, I have a plaza. For my plaza, I'm only allowing one person doing one type of business. That there won't be two people doing the same type of business. So it has to be like a bit of everything. I need one pharmacy, I need one this, I need one that.
Mhm.
And I have something extra, which is there's a marketing and media unit within the plaza, an office for that. So you're renting a shop there, and part of your rent, just like they have service charges in estate, means the media unit and the marketing unit
Has to
would
market you.
help do something extra for your business. Come in and take videos, take pictures. There's an amount you're entitled to. And then you can now pay if you want extra. So they are on ground. They come to work every day. And I could go further and make a small website for that particular plaza. So people around that area know that instead of going down there, I can just go there and check price before I come. And I can even attach a small, although we have the Child X and all these other brands. But you see, mine, I have something extra. Yours is probably just a normal plaza. Yours is a normal plaza. So most people may want to come to mine because of that little thing. So I think it's time for developers to look beyond just building and see the things they can add to these buildings. I will give them an extra. It could be something very little. Something very little. It's also how now I see people building apartments, selling them for shortlets, and helping to manage. That also said you build, you sell, and you also help
People
the
manage.
owners get rental income.
That's
and
exactly
everything.
what we do.
Exactly. So you can see how it is going towards that. Everything has a utility behind it. Another thing I think people can do when it comes to real estate, I see very few companies currently doing it. Is this fractional? Is it fractional? Yeah, fractional ownership. The same way people can easily just go and buy 20 units of a particular bank stock because they can do it 5,000. I feel if there's an app where I can just weigh in my 500,000 naira, like contributing to owning maybe a square meter in a particular shopping mall, it has to be somewhere that has high foot traffic, not just a house. That way, I know that okay, my square meter is earning me
returns.
this and that and that, and people that own can also sell off on the platform. So depending on the value of the thing, I can sell my own, and somebody else can buy at the rate which it is currently at the point of selling or buying. So little things like that, just adding a bit of utility or tech on top of it can go a long way. I know somebody currently building something also quite interesting. It's like a bank for real estate. So I think it's high time people start thinking beyond the usual buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. What will take us out of these markets into the global markets will be when these guys can easily come in and play without having to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that will guarantee that what you're building, they won't come and demolish it tomorrow.
Yeah, so I get. Do you want to weigh in on?
Yeah. I think one thing I got from what you said, and it's also be an avenue to brag about what we do, right? One thing I got from what you said, and I think if you look at it from your first point, which is how do you become rich, right? Is by doing the hard work that nobody's willing to do, and that hard work will push you into a monopoly. If you look at it, the people that really make a lot of money are the monopolies. People like to say, "Oh, competition is you are competitive," but if you look at it, the people that really make the most of the money are people that have moved from competition to now a monopoly. And if you look at what we are trying to do as a company, we are not just saying come and buy apartments. We are, spreading out into different classes of real estate. There's residential, there's commercial, which is office spaces, and very soon shopping malls. There is hospitality, which is our shorted apartment that we currently do, and we also have resorts projects in Ibadan and soon to be Lagos, right? So I think everything I've said also aligns with what we do as a company, and it speaks about the kind of company that we are basically. So yeah, it's a bragging rival. Yeah.
So
are you accepting 500,000 as investment? Buy shares.
Yeah. So no. So for fractional ownership, right? So what we also try to do is, because it takes a lot of work to manage multiple investors, right? So what we're now trying to do is to partner with fractional ownership platforms. So let them do the headache of aggregating the investments, while we just take it from them and now manage the single unit entities, right? And should I give them free PR award? But yeah, but we have a couple of them like Cable, and I think we've done a couple of things with them. Yeah.
So Cable, right? And a couple of
Abode. Yeah. So I think there are a couple of guys that are doing a very
so
very.
So we just allow them do their thing, and we focus on doing our thing. Before we move on, I've got an important information for you. Whether you're looking for a commercial asset or a high-yield, short-let investment project, I've got the right options for smart investors. And guess what? They are all priced below the 200 million naira benchmark. So if you're a smart investor, you want to reach out to my team right now, and we will get you started. Now let's get back into the conversation.
Let me give free game. So my thing is more of media, marketing than finance. Finance is a personal hobby. You're both industry players. When you think real estate, who comes to mind in the country right now?
The biggest real estate company, or what? Or an influencer, or what?
Whoever. Let's start with company and then influencer.
So I think the first person that comes to my mind.
Company first.
First company is Porsche Waters.
The first company that comes into my mind, in all honesty, is Sujimoto.
Influencer. I would say
this is my point though.
Okay.
Mention the name.
I would say Folajemi.
I would say confidence, Akodo. She's a realtor, but she's an influencer.
Developers and investors are spending millions and billions of naira every single year building these things. But nobody wants to sink in a little money into building a marketing powerhouse. Nobody. I particularly like confidence because the first day I saw her, I saw energy. I think her husband owns a media company, so it's part of the unfair advantage she has. But she's very intentional with how she pushes. The quality is there. But then there's still Sir Folajomi that has come with a bit of the entertainment and the education. And he has some people's, he has them in the chokehold.
Exactly.
They listen to him, they trust his opinion. There's this other guy that talks about
Bond?
building. No, not Bond.
Snag
Tammy
Inspector.
Build.
Okay.
There's Tammy Build.
Mhm.
My point is, whoever is going to win in the long run, we're talking about this before the session, right?
Mhm.
Will be the person that is able to bring a lot of people into the understanding of real estate.
Mhm.
And from where I stand, it's as simple as spending as much time entertaining and educating these people on the subject. The first company you call, I don't know them. You know them because they are a big player. They are like a big whale. If they enter the water,
I try to be neutral. I try to think around the first name, and the name I mentioned, we know whether for the right or for the wrong reasons is popular.
because he invested in PR.
Exactly.
But that PR he invested in his lifestyle, not necessarily educating.
Exactly.
You have to bring in the young. We're talking about this. People that are currently not so liquid right now, when they turn 50, they'll become liquid. They'll be loyal to the brands that they grew up with.
Same way we are currently with Indomie
And close up.
Milo, yeah.
So my point is, if you're currently in this space and you're not spending down as much money as you're spending, not just a fraction of it, on building a marketing powerhouse, building your own influencers, it is possible. I've seen a couple of CEOs doing content now, but they are still doing it like they are conscious of. Don't look at the people that we celebrate on social media. Just look at them. They are not normal. If you do what is normal, I will scroll because you're speaking English, wearing suit, crossing your leg. Who are you again? Yes, who are you again? Typically, if you see me on a normal day, I'm a very quiet. My friends are shocked that I make videos. Why? I'm a very quiet guy. But when it's time to shoot video, will I come and say, in all honesty, I don't think you should save. If you're saving money in a bank account, you don't have sense. Something makes you pause. I'm shining my eyes. I'm speaking English with a small accent, Port Harcourt accent. So it stands out.
I think you also on this podcast have been intentional about you switched accent, right? When you want to say some words and you do it intentionally.
It will be good for the highlights. So please. Startup idea in real estate. I know a realtor that invests so much money in paying influencers. I know a realtor. She's very big. She invests so much money in paying influencers. Now she's a realtor. She's not a real estate company. She has her own, but she's a realtor. Now she goes ahead to use her own money to invest in the marketing before she even starts making sales, before she starts even making money back. So what is to stop a real estate company from having a unit where the goal is we're going to have a couple of influencers. We're going to talk to them. We're going to reach an agreement with them where, please, you will come, you market our properties, right? We are going into a partnership. Your logistics to come, how it will be short, what will be done. Don't worry about it. We can even give you a stipend, a small amount of money. But you're going to make, it's an investment, but you're going to make more money from when sales are made. So they come, they shoot. In a typical shoot today, you can have 3, 4, 5 videos depending on the energy and how you plan it. Right? Now, you're going to have a back room team that is good and skilled at running ads. The ads you're going to run will be simple. You're running ads to generate leads, not to close sales. Nobody sees an ad on the property of 75 million and sends you money immediately. Of course, you know that. So it's to generate lead. These people are going to fill a form and say, I'm interested. Whether it is real low, because some people on Facebook and Instagram, they are not normal. They will just want to joke with you. But inside 1,000 leads, 5 to 10 that are serious enough is okay. Somebody says, book me for an appointment, as in a call, or schedule a call. You have a team that If the team can work morning and night, I don't know how you do it. But 30 minutes after somebody books that, they should get a call, a follow-up call. Now that call is to just check the energy. Is this person really a serious investor? You call somebody and you hear a matured voice speaking with a low baritone. Is the guy need a rush? Green flag. It's probably an older man interested in something you're doing. Whatever it is, you have people closing disappointment. You have a way of sending a brochure or something to them. You're going to have more leads than anybody else. But currently, the market is build, try and find realtors to come, promise them you give them incentives like car, bag of rice, iPhones, and maybe travel packages, and let them go and do their work. Meanwhile, we have these influencers, many of them. You can even start training your own. No?
Actually,
You can start training your own. Many of them that are currently there, some of them have not seen brand deals. Leave all this English. I'm an influencer too. Make them an offer. I know you can charge more, but say this 500K I'm giving you, right? I want to help you make millions from real estate. We've paid up to 2 billion to our realtors in the past days, but you don't have as much influence as you. So you shoot videos, which of videos should run at. For the next 6 months, we'll see which one brought more leads or something, and then we'll go ahead. In my honest opinion, well, I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I'm being so optimistic.
From where we sit right now, I think the influencer market has sort of created a barrier for themselves, right? And when we try to, we've tried to work with influencers in the past. We've worked with some in the past, and for influencers that you don't have a personal relationship with, or maybe you don't know someone that knows them, they sort of make it difficult, for you to work with them, right? They overstandardize everything. I'm not saying you shouldn't have your processes, right? But you overstandardize everything. What's the word now? You make it look like, what we want you to do is very simple, but you say, no, we can't speak with you. You have to talk to your management. Your management places a higher value on, a higher premium on, what you're doing, which is entirely good, right? You should charge what you think you're worth. But I think less people right now are now able to afford to work with influencers. Right. And for the reasons that we speak about, the money in circulation is static, and there's always a budget for everything. There's always a budget for everything.
Make a video tomorrow. Say you want creators that are ready to make real estate videos for a chance to become millionaires. A lot of them will message you. Not the big ones, not someone like me.
Of course.
But you see the difference between a creator and a real estate team member on the team on the media team making videos is that creator understands how to make interesting videos that can catch attention. The person on the team, he or she probably views what they are doing as a job. They've told her, you have to wear heels. They've told you have to wear tie and suit and all of that. So they come and they are very stiff. But these influencers know that the game is to stop the scroll, catch attention, get people to stop scrolling and want to watch the video. And then you sell in the guise of what you're saying. So you can easily teach a UGC creator how to sell real estate. Now you can teach a real estate sales executive how to create content. So if the big influencers are too big, get the UC creators. They know how to create content. They know how
we already use them in our shortlets, actually. And, they work pretty well. They know what to say to get people to come and book shortlets, right?
Do that same thing with property. You may just be shocked. Second one. I'm saying all this here because if you're my real estate friend, I've told you this thing before. You just did not yet. You just did not care. Second one. Who is training realtors? Is there a proper school for training realtors that is online? We're talking alternative real estate investment now. Now, I know some of my real estate friends have physical schools where you go, there's a class. But how many people can seriously come to your physical office to learn? If I put real estate mentorship online, I can get 1,000 people across Nigeria. A typical curriculum for that would be real estate laws. Let's leave introduction, real estate laws, or the General or Land Use Act, and then the specific ones in certain market, Lagos, Abuja. Buying land in Lagos and buying land in Abuja are two different things.
Exactly.
So you will teach all of that. You will teach all the typical things about customer relationship, management, and all of that, selling, sharing, business. And then you will teach a very important one, which is marketing, social media.
Exactly.
Every realtor should know how to create content and run ads by themselves. So you can have the knowledge and you decide not to use it because you're so busy. But then you're working with a team that knows you know what you're doing. Who won't come whine you? Nobody can lie to you on the team. You know how to create videos. So when you see their videos and you think, I don't like this, your energy was going up and down, you're giving good feedback because you have the knowledge. Somebody can create a platform for that and open it up. And people will join. Even current realtors, some of them will join. I did not have to go and buy land anywhere. I come to do real estate. I'm channeling a small portion of my profit to building this thing. It may even start as in-house for our own in-house team. Let them test the curriculum. Once I think it is okay, then you roll it out. It's not going to be something it's not self-paced. No. Every week, there's a module you're handling. There's an assignment. You do the assignment, you submit it. Second week. So if it's a 6 weeks program, after 6 weeks, you're graduating and you're entering into a realtor network where we have realtors that are tested, battle tested. Maybe not battle tested, but we have realtors that understand social media. They can create videos. So these are things that people, for me, I feel like they are low-hanging fruit.
Actually.
Low-hanging fruit. You do this, you may not get it right in the first year, but the moment you crack it, do you know what it means for you to have a team of influencers on your beck and call that you created by yourself? I invested in you. I made you a real estate influencer. I won't cage you. You can go out there. But you know where we started from. I can easily call you for favors. I can easily call you if Folajomi has a boss. His boss can always call him and say, Fola, please, there's this thing. The discussion will be different. They will not say, go and meet my manager. So for me, the question is, if you start this thing, how quickly can you get to 1,000 well-educated and graduated realtors from this academy? If you do the UGC route, how quickly can you get to UGC creators that out of 500, out of 50, you see 2 or 3 that these ones, their head are down. They know what they are doing. When they are making these videos, you see that there's a certain level of awareness that they use. They do UGC, they collect 100,000 naira. And you've sold your first property, you've collected commission of 500k. Nobody will tell you to focus on real estate as a niche.
Actually.
So I may be naive, ignorant, or just plain optimistic. But these are things I think people can actually do. Both those in the space and those outside, to actually just change this whole, everybody's fighting for the same small markets.
I think that's very, very profound because I think they have a lot of real estate companies that are doing a very good job with their service and offering, right? But they are not able to get enough publicity. So I think if companies can try to, invest in that media and marketing, it will really, because ultimately it's creating more awareness for the industry and it's also now making investors more money in the long run, because investors will rather, if they don't know you, they say that you can be the best in the market when it comes to the value you're offering to the customers. But if those customers don't know you, they can't, assess and do business with you, right? So I think that what you have said is very, very profound, and it would, at the end of the day, ultimately create more awareness and make more investors money in the real estate space.
If you're interested, call me.
Of course, I mean, there's always opportunities to even work together, right? I mean, from all of the things you said, right? I mean, I've picked out a couple of things that I believe that we're still going to have, very serious conversations about. And again, for what is what, there's a popular saying that says a king is not valuable in his own hometown, right? So if I pride myself to say, okay, I'm very good in marketing, this guy is a very good sales guy, and we were trying to organize trainings for our internal staff, they take it for granted. But the same ethos that we preach, we go outside and then people take it and then they roll with it and they come and tell you, oh, I did this, but a king in his own house. And that's why for us, even internally, we now focus on bringing other people to come and train our staffs. It's literally the same thing that we talk about.
Yeah.
But when you now hear it from, someone that you feel like you respect, let's say, I'm bringing you in, Somi, you are bringing Somi in because Somi is someone that they see online. Somi is going to talk about marketing, break it down in his own knowledge, in his own, but the fundamentals around marketing has never changed. From time, it has never changed. Only the platforms and mediums have changed. We have moved from newspaper and magazines
Yes.
to the digital age, the principles have never really changed. Let's get the materials to the face of the client, right? And how you do it, the body language now is so now right now we're talking about this. We don't know what it will be in the next 20 years. We don't know if you'll be too so AI in green where people can just be in their houses and then we now have instead of POP now we now have smart homes where in your house you're popping out on your ceiling as you're sleeping, right? So I'm just saying I'm just saying, right? So so a lot of things has changed, and we also need to evolve with it, but very profound things that you mentioned. So to the last part of this conversation, right? I don't know what you're familiar with Lagos, but I want us to play a trivia, right?
Okay.
Around locations in Lagos.
Okay.
Um,
I may feel sharp, but just go.
so it's not really a trivia. Just need to pick between different locations.
No.
So we're going to start from you may not know. Okay, let's say Agege or Ajegunle.
Agege.
Why?
One of my ex used to live there. Not I met her outside of Lagos. So she came from Agege. She was a
So
sweet
you just
girl.
pick a familiar.
Sweet girl. So I'm guessing she was raised in a good environment.
Oh, okay. Agege or Alimosho?
Alimosho. It
Alimosho.
sounds too shy.
Okay. Alimosho or Ikeja?
Ikeja. Bang.
Okay. Ikeja or Magodo?
Ikeja is old money. Magodo is new money. Magodo.
Okay. Magodo or Festac?
Magodo.
Magodo or Lagos Island?
Magodo. Lagos Island is smelly and it's flooded all the time.
Okay. Okay. You can say that. Magodo or Ikate?
Magodo.
Magodo
For living, right?
Yeah,
Or
for
investment?
living. Yeah, for
Magodo.
living. I mean, where you would prefer? Magodo or VI?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we are comparing the big dogs. Okay. So VI or Ikoyi?
Ikoyi. Who wouldn't?
So Ikoyi wins. Ikoyi wins.
Of course, every
Right.
single time.
Right. So now to my last question, right? Do you think people overpay for rent in some parts of Lagos? And the reason why I ask is, when you look around, places like Ikoyi, you see rent going as high as, 50, 60, 70, 80 million in some cases. When you take it back to, say, places like, Ikeja, you see rent as high as 15, 20 million in some places, right? When you take it down to, say, places like, Agege, for example, rents are now jumping, into the millions. When you go to a student environment like, say, Yaba, right, the average rent of a studio apartment right now is already around 1 million. A studio apartment, the average rent in a student domiciled area. So do you think, we actually overpay for rents in Lagos?
It's a very tricky question. And I hope a lot of Nigerians want government regulation when it comes to real estate related matters, especially rent, prices and all. But sometimes I tend to wonder if I learned the same economics in school and every other person was taught. Because that told me that Nigeria is for the most part a capitalist society, although it's a crony capitalist society, meaning the closer you are to power, the more capitalism will favor you. But still, it's a free market. Free market meaning it is the laws of demand and supply that decide the prices of things. So he could be selling something, I could be selling the same thing. If mine is too expensive, it is expected that the market should go to him. But the problem is the market just has a sentimental like for me. And they keep buying what I'm selling at an expensive rate. And that same market will still turn around and complain, oh, it's too expensive, it's too expensive. There are alternatives out there. In my humble opinion, there are alternatives
on
out
that
there.
on that level,
Well,
don't
see,
you think
now.
there's an inequality?
See, that's the thing. Lekki was not Lekki 20 years ago. What made Lekki Lekki? People moved to Lekki, right? The other places where
because
it's
they couldn't
not
afford, Ikoyi and VI and the likes.
the places where rent is not currently expensive. When people move there too, demand will be high, supply will be short, rents will do what?
Jump.
Increase. So I think it's just a demand. If people are not paying these house rents, you will bring the price down, wouldn't you? As a property owner, you most likely will bring the price down. There is demand. Supply is short. So quite naturally, the price is going up. I'm a landlord. The house next to my own, the guy is collecting 15 million. I'm still collecting 8 million. Is it I don't like money? Is it I don't like money? Is he also not a Christian? Does he not know God? I will say, okay, let me be a nice person. Just do 12 million. The person paying the rent is not seeing that every other person is taking 15 million. What they will see is this man added 5 million. He's a greedy person. And yes, we may call him greedy, but the truth is the market will always decide these things. We have young people in Lagos today that have no business. You have no business being in Lagos, and you know it. You know it. You can live anywhere. You work remotely. You don't report to an office every day. You can live anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Or you just want to be here because Lagos is where it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying I support what is currently happening. I mean, every single time I consider relocating to Lagos, I look at the prices and I tell myself, Somiari, stay where you are. But let's not act like we don't know why it's like this.
Mm-hmm.
There's high demand, there's short supply, price will quite naturally go up, and the government cannot fix the price. It's a free market. This is not socialism. It's a free market. If we start not building people that are renting their units for a high price,
Mm-hmm.
they will bring it down. If we start moving to areas where rent is relatively affordable, it will take a while, but we'll enjoy the low rent prices there. So these are my honest opinions, and I hope you understand too, because I've shown you logic.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been very insightful so far, right? And like you said, the economics drive it all. We operate in an open market, right? Which means, if this iPad if you're selling it to me for 3 million and I can get it for 2 million elsewhere, I'll just go get it, right? If I like you so much and I want to pay extra 1 million, I'll pay the extra 1 million, right? So thank you so much to our listeners and viewers for joining in. It's been a very insightful conversation with Somi here and Dayo. I mean, we talked about several things concerning the young persons. And if you're a young person in Lagos right now, this is something you should watch, right? And also, we'll be bringing more people to come join us on this channel, right? And you don't want to be the last to know. All you need to do right now is, click the subscribe button and also turn on notifications so you'll be one of the first people to be informed when we have new updates for you on the Edala Market Intelligence Podcast. See you next time. Cheers.